everyone, it's John from What Up, and welcome back to another video. Today we're talking Wheel of Time show news thanks to WhatSeries.com. Yes, they have come through again during this dry spell between seasons with a tidbit of news that is pretty important and pretty interesting. This is a leaked audition script for Season 3 that features Sammael. Now, he was a Forsaken that was mentioned during Season 2, but we weren't 100% sure if he was going to be in the show or not, and, well, now we are. So that's great. What we're going to do today is we're going to break down that audition script. We're going to try to figure out where it's going to fit in the timeline of Season 2 and what it means. And we'll try to figure out Sammael's arc from the books and how it's going to translate to the show. I, for one, think it'll be much shorter than the book series, but we'll talk about that later on in the video. So if you like this sort of thing, if you like talking about the Wheel of Time or speculation or Wheel of Time show news, make sure you subscribe to the channel. We, of course, talk about Wheel of Time all the time. That's pretty much all we do here. And click that like button and tell 2 friends. We're going to add that now. Everybody tell 2 friends about the channel. We're going to try to grow the channel a little bit over the next 5 or 6 months before the next season comes out. That's me being incredibly optimistic. Let's say the next 17 or 18 months before the next season comes out. I think it's more likely. But either way, tell a couple of your friends about the channel. I'd love to grow a little bit more. Now, all of that being said, since we are talking about the audition script, we're talking about the character, we're talking about his book arc, we're going to get into some pretty deep spoilers from the books. Now, I know a lot of you who watch the channel haven't read the books, nor do you care about spoilers or ever plan on reading the books, and that's totally cool. This video is for you. But for those of you who don't like spoilers, spoiler warning. In today's video, we're talking about Sammael's audition script for Season 3. Now, in this script, it features elements of the show and the books, so we're likely going to ruin plot lines and character arcs from both. So if you've not read the first 7 books of Robert Jordan's Wheel of Time series, that's The Eye of the World up through and including A Crown of Swords, and if you have not watched the first 2 seasons of the Wheel of Time on Prime, streaming right now, that's episodes 1 through 8 of both seasons, be forewarned, I may ruin plot points and character arcs from all of those mediums. Okay, that being said, let's get on to the video. All right, so this comes to us courtesy of WhatSeries.com. I've got a link to their page down below in the description box and the article we're going to talk about today. So after the video, definitely go over there, read the article, show them some love, share it around social media, try to get the word out there about WhatSeries.com. They're fantastic people. They do fantastic work, and more people should be reading their work and visiting their site, at least in my opinion. But do that after the video. Of course, watch the video first. So we're going to talk about the audition script here. What WhatSeries.com is, they transcribed it in this article. I'm just going to read it for you folks here. They've taken the code name out for who they believe to be Sammael and replaced it with Sammael, which totally makes sense to me. And this is between Sammael and an unknown. Now, this unknown appears to be a channeler of this age on the side of the light, and they're looking for something. And they have Sammael captured and shielded, so they're quite strong, or they maybe have an Angreal or a Sangreal. Maybe it's been mentioned very briefly in the show. Maybe they'll dive more into that in the next season and explain it to us a bit more so people understand. But either way, they're likely very strong in the power. Those are the clues we have. So we're going to go through this audition scene. We're going to try to pick it apart and talk about what it means for the show. So starts off with the unknown saying, "Where is it?" Sammael says 5 seconds. You can't even wait 5 seconds for an answer. It's disappointing. Unknown says, "I agree. I'd read you were one of the greatest generals of your age. I'm surprised I was able to capture you so easily." Sammael says, "I wasn't the greatest general. I was a visionary, a pioneer, a conqueror. In my time, there were no armies. Hadn't been for centuries. Knives were used for cooking, not killing. As for military tactics, they've been all long forgotten. I discovered the art of war. Me. I taught my people to be soldiers. I taught those soldiers to form armies. And I taught those armies to follow me." Unknown says, "Well, they're not here now, are they?" And Sammael says, "They're not. It's just you and me." Unknown says, "I'm not afraid of you, Sammael. You'll answer my question eventually. Where is it?" "It's all right. I can wait." And then Sammael says, "That's the thing, though, isn't it? You can't. Your magic holds me here. You can't move from that spot. Can't eat or breathe or sleep or shit. You can't do any of the things you mortals have to do to stay alive. I'm not your prisoner, you're mine. And if there's one thing I've gotten rather good at these last 3,000 years, it's waiting." So there's some pretty big clues into there's what's going on. So like I said earlier, we know the general specifics of who this person is. They're pretty strong in the power, or they have an object of power that increases their power level. They are on the side of the light. They're holding Sammael. They have him shielded and they have him prisoner, and they're questioning him about an object. Where is it, they say. So this is really interesting because I already did a video a few weeks ago about Chanchiko and how I think it fits into the storyline for Season 3 based on some leaks that I had received. and that the major players there were Matt, Tom, Leandrin, Nynaeve, Elaine, Min. There was a bunch of people there. Some of them you wouldn't expect to be in Tenchiko if they followed the storyline exactly as the books did. The White Cloaks are there too, so there's some other things happening that are like the book series, but there's enough differences there, especially with the people that are there, that it made me speculate, and I put forth the theory that Tenchiko and Ebudar storylines were kind of merged for season 3, which totally makes sense to me. In the book series, both storylines are very, very similar. For those of you who haven't read the books, the Tenchiko storyline is basically they went searching through Tenchiko for an object of power that could hurt Rand. They fought one of the Forsaken, so there was a big famous fight between the Spider and Moghedien and Nynaeve, which would not translate well on screen. They're just kind of staring at each other because it actually says that in the books. They're staring at each other like strange cats in a barn. That's the whole battle. So it's a search, a hunt, a look for a certain object, and a fight with the Forsaken. Ebudar was pretty much the same thing. Now we had more mature characters at this point. We had more strength in the power, more worldly aspects to them. But Nynaeve basically went to Ebudar to look for the Bowl of the Winds. Now she took some of the other characters with her, and she's looking for this Bowl of the Winds to fix the weather. Matt Cawthon's there. Matt Cawthon helps them, and as he helps them to fight a golem, which is a shadow spawn, and a bunch of dark friends and other shadow spawn, because Sammael has also sent his minions, like his dark friends and shadow spawn, into Ebudar to pick up objects of power. Angreal, he had heard about a cache of them. He's looking for it. Bowl of the Winds just happened to be in the same spot because it was a Terra Angreal. And a big fight ensued. So they're both a search, a hunt for something, and a big fight. In my mind, pretty easy to cram them together because you got to understand if they go the distance, if we get the full 8 seasons, and right now it is very likely looking like we're getting a season every 2 years, they're cutting a whole lot. So if we're getting a season every 2 years, maybe we won't get 8 seasons. Maybe we'll get less. I really don't know. I can't tell the future. I'm hoping we get the full 8. I'm hoping that they come to their senses and start releasing it yearly. I'm hoping that they add more episodes and more time. Maybe dial back the production value, which I would be totally okay with. Spend less money on it to put out more content. I don't know. But I don't think any of that's going to happen. I think it'll be a spectacle show like it is now, and they'll likely lose episodes and lose time. So doing the Tenchiko and the Ebudar storyline separately makes 0 sense. They're going to cram them together. Will they be looking for the Bowl of the Winds, the Terra Angreal that can change the weather like in the Ebudar storyline? No. There's no way they'll ever look for that in the show. The weather's been mentioned in passing a couple of different times. It's not a plot device like it was used in the books. Whole seasons were stuck for books and books at a time, and it was mentioned quite often in the show. Mentioned in passing, I think, a couple of times in the first season. That's pretty much it. I don't think the weather's going to be a device. They're not going to look for the Bowl of the Winds. I think that is all cut. What I think they're going to be looking for is the male Adam, which is an object of power that can control a man who channels. Something that they look for in the Tenchiko storyline, and that they eventually found. They gave to Beldamon and said, go drop it in the deepest, darkest part of the ocean, which was made reference to in the finale of season 2 when Lanfear was talking to Beldamon and she was talking about the seals. Take them out into the deepest, darkest part of the ocean and drop them so no one will ever find them. It's almost word for word what was told to Beldamon when he was handed the male Adam in the books. So there's little hints here. I think the storyline is going to be Tenchiko for season 3. I think there's going to be a couple of big bads there. I think we're going to see Moghedien for sure in Tenchiko. I think she's going to be there. In fact, I can almost guarantee it. And I think Sammael is also going to be in Tenchiko. I think he's going to be there looking for objects of power. Not necessarily the male Adam, but objects of power like Angreal and Sangreal to make himself more powerful. Or perhaps he is looking for the male Adam because this particular person holding him captive is questioning where is it, like he knows what it is. Might be the male Adam. So I think this is pretty much, in my opinion, the final nail in the coffin, that Ebudar and Tenchiko are crammed together. We're getting one storyline for those. Now on to who this mysterious channeler is that has him captive. So we know some of the major players. We know Leandrin is there. We know that Margedian is there. We know Nynaeve is there. We know Elaine is there. We know Min is there. We know Matt is there. We know Tom's there. These are all for sures. There may be other people there, but those are the for sures. Now, the person talking not only is incredibly strong in the one power, but also has a little bit of book smarts. They know about the Forsaken. They know about the backstories of them. They know that he was a general. They know these things. So I'm saying that maybe they have a little bit more knowledge than some of the other characters. They had access to a little bit better education. So if I had to put money on who's holding him hostage here, I'd say it's Elaine. That's my guess anyway. I think you're going to see a battle with Nynaeve and Moggy, or at least some kind of conflict there. And you're going to see a battle with Elaine and Sammael. And I think that'll be all in Tenchico, in that area and nowhere else. Because we know we're going to get some other Forsaken as well. Are we going to get them all at once? I don't know for sure. To me, it would make zero sense to cram a Forsaken into the Two Rivers plotline. I don't think that's going to happen. We know we have Lanfear. I think she'll be attached to Rand's plotline for that season. So having these two and Lanfear this season, like Margedian and Sammael, is probably a good bet. Now, Sammael lives way past the Abu Dar storyline in the books. In fact, he lives up to the end of A Crown of Swords, and he does some other things in the books that we likely won't see on screen. He tricks the Shaedo into like dispersing them all over the continent, basically causing chaos by giving them call boxes under the code name Kadar. I think that's how you pronounce it. So anyway, he pretended he was someone else and gave them what he told them were Terran they could use for people who can't channel. And he kind of just put them all over the place to cause chaos. He was involved in a couple of other things. A big battle at Kyrian with Rand. He was seen on the battlefield throwing around balls of fire and lightning. He killed a bunch of maidens with the spear, and he retreated back to Ilion. Now, in the books, he's tied to Ilion, so he's always in that city. He is Lord Brend. He's one of the Council of the Nine. He's consolidated his power there. We have not really seen Ilion mentioned much in the show. Will we get an Ilion storyline? Maybe. But maybe later. I think what's likely going to happen is there's going to be all of this stuff going on, and then he is going to probably kill a few maidens, and then Rand will eventually chase him and have the big battle. I think the end battle for Season 3 may be Rand and Sammael. I think that's probably likely what's going to happen. I don't think we're going to see another Ishii battle. I think he's gone pretty much for good at this point, unless we get Moradin back in the show. Yeah, so I think the end battle for Season 3 will be Rand and Sammael, and he'll be done. So we'll have Crown of Swords level stuff happening within Season 3 is my guess. I don't think they're going to hold the Forsaken for more than a season or two each. So I think next season we may see a couple of Forsaken deaths with kind of like what we've seen at the end of this season, an after credit scene or an end credit scene. Like it wasn't really before, it was before the credits, but you know what I mean? It wasn't like a Marvel after credit scene where we get introduced to Margedian. I think the end of next season we'll do the same thing with a couple of other Forsaken. I don't think they're going to introduce too many of them too quick, and each one of them may last a season, kind of like a flavor of the week thing over an arching few episodes, sort of like Lanfear and Sammael for Season 2. They had some fairly important roles, but Sammael, for all intents and purposes, died at the end of Season 2, and Lanfear survived to Season 3. I think we'll see the same thing with Season 3. Sammael will die, and we'll likely see maybe Lanfear continue on because she's a fan favorite, and maybe Margedian as well, or maybe Margedian will die. But that's my guess anyway. So anyway, that's how I think it fits in, and I think that we're going to see a full arc from Sammael either way in Season 3. I don't think he'll be in Season 4 and beyond. I think this is one and done for him. As to who is going to play the character, I have no bloody idea. I really don't know. I have a whole lot of fan casts in my head, but I'm reserving judgment on that because, let's face it, they've surprised me with every other casting so far, and in my opinion, casting has been top-notch for the show. They do a real good job, so whoever they pick for Sammael is likely going to be fantastic. All right, so I did promise we're going to talk just a bit about the character for those of you who didn't read the books and why he's important, so we're going to dive into that now. All right, so Sammael was one of the Forsaken, one of the 13 Forsaken in the book series, one of the 13 most powerful channels in the Age of Legends that turned to the Dark One's side, so turned to the Shadow. And in fact, I think he was number 4 in power. So there was, above him was Robin, Moradin, and Randall Thor. Feel free to fact check me in the comments down below. I'm not 100% on that. I don't have notes in front of me or anything, but I think he was number 4. But he was super strong, just in raw, pure strength anyway. But he had a huge jealous streak. Like, he was jealous of everything. So the books described him as sort of compact, but he was really above average height. He wasn't a short king like a lot of the fandom seemed to think he was. He was just a normal dude, and he didn't like being a normal dude in a room full of very tall men, and it bothered him a whole lot. And there's actually multiple mentions of that in the book series about how he disliked people towering over him, so to speak, and he tried to always nullify that advantage, or what he saw as an advantage. So he's a super jealous dude. He was a general, one of the great generals, and I say one of the great generals, not the best general, but one of the great generals for the Forces of the Light. He was really, really good at defense, like fantastic at defense, and then that sort of plays in some of the things that he does in the book series. He's real good at defense, but the dragon was better than him, and was named like Supreme Commander of the Forces of the Light, and that rankled a lot in him. Again, more jealousy, led to his eventual turning to the Shadow, led to him betraying the Forces of the Light and causing major, major defeats at the hand of the Shadow. And he then went to Shao Ghul and said his oaths to the Dark One with Grendel. So he is one of the OG Forsaken. Now, when we talk about Sammael, we say he's jealous, but he's also very calculating, very cunning, and very driven. So he actually got a scar from the dragon during the War of Power and refused to have it healed because it reminded him of his shortcomings and what he had to, fight for. He was, I'd like to say he's a fan favorite, but he's not. At least not in my opinion. There's a lot of people who like him. No doubt, if you really like Sammael, say down below that you like him. Tell me why you like him. What he's your favorite Forsaken. I really want to know why. But he's not one of the big ones, in my opinion. The big ones, Malkavian, a lot of people love her. Lanfear, of course, people love Lanfear. Demandred is my favorite Forsaken. For example, I super love Demandred, even though he's like absent a lot in the books. I like the idea of what happened with the short story that Brandon Sanderson wrote about it. And of course, Sammael or Moradin. There's other Forsaken there too. A lot of people love Grendel, but Sammael is one of those ones like Robin, not really mentioned a whole lot as people's favorite, but he is definitely one of the Forsaken, the earlier Forsaken that we get to know a little bit better. And in the book series, you get to know them a little bit, and then they become a big battle at the end of a book, and they're gone. So he lasted till book 7, Crown of Swords, and then he's mentioned a few times in the books afterwards, but not much. Like book 8 mentioned a whole lot. He's presumed dead, and there's always been that inkling, that little bit of maybe he'll come back. Sammael never really came back, and then well, I won't spoil anything else for you, but he's mentioned a few times in the books after that. So that's who he is. He's pretty important to the book series, a number of books in the book series, numbers of plot lines. But like I said, I think the main one that he's going to be used for in the show is Tenchiko. Not 100% on that. So let me know what you folks think down below in the comments. Do you think that he will be in the Tenchiko storyline? If you've read the books and you know the Abu Dar storyline, do you think the two of them are going to be mashed together? Do you think that he is hiding or has in his possession the male Adam, and it's going to be used against Rand? Do you think that's what that's all about? Let me know. Anyway, I want to thank you all very much for sticking with me here to the very end. Here's to many more.